Hey guys, DELAET here again for another episode of Pickup Daily. I'm here on the rainy streets of Hagerstown, Maryland. Again, looking for a bar that is not closed. I think I need to come out earlier in Maryland because the whole city seems to roll up its sidewalks and there's nothing but cops and random dudes with their shirts off. I wanted to talk to you guys today about complimenting people who don't think that they deserve to be complimented. You ever talk to somebody and you think the world of them, you think super highly of them, and then you give them a compliment of some sort, and then they refuse your compliment. They refuse your compliment by doing a number of different things. One, they can come up with a counterexample and say that you are false because this is the case. An example being, like, I'll say, "You're very beautiful." It's like, "Oh, what, with my hair like this? This is really stupid," right? And they'll downplay it in order to take the validity out of your statement, or they'll just straight ignore you, as if you say, "Dude, that's really smart of you. I really appreciate that." And they go, "Okay, whatever," and then they keep moving along, or they say. A more honest approach to that is, "Oh, I don't really think so," and then they move on with the rest of their thing. But in any case, they're discounting your compliment, and it can happen for a couple of reasons. One, they don't actually have a high self-esteem, and they don't believe that what's coming out of your mouth is true. And that's fair. I mean, not everybody has the same perspective that we do, and a lot of people are down on themselves way more than the people around them. So, I mean, you may see things in them that they can't see in themselves, and so they don't want to affirm that because they don't see it. That's the thing. Another thing is they just might not be aware of the particular trait that you're dealing with, especially when it comes to looks. Society kind of teaches women that it is just a part of the consumerism thing, that if they don't buy this mascara or wear these shoes or have this cut of clothing or whatever, that they're not beautiful, that they don't look good in comparison to all the Photoshop models and all of the supermodels and all of the people with great genetics or whatever. They're not skinny enough, they're not, sometimes they're not fat enough, sometimes they're not fashionable enough, and sometimes they're not anything else enough. You just insert that there. That's a great way to get people to start buying shit, but it's not a good way to make people think that they're good, worthwhile, worthy people. And that's just kind of how the world works. And so you can't be like, "Oh, you have low self-esteem and it was, you just need to fucking feel better about yourself," because, the system is rigged against us. Like the whole commercialization system is designed to make us feel like we're not enough, like we lack shit. So if you give them a compliment on their dress or their jacket or their looks or their the way they do their makeup, and so they're going to get counterexamples all the time from the media and from commercials and all this other stuff that says, "Oh, nope, it's probably pretty good, but you definitely could be doing better." And that message is so permeated our entire society that it's very difficult to sort of surmount that. So even if a woman with a high level of self-confidence can take your compliment and be just fine with it, generally, on the inside, they're going to have other reasons. They might just say thanks on the outside, but on the inside, they're still comparing themselves and doing those things in their brain. And it's not really their fault. It's just kind of like society has trained us that way. And that kind of sucks. What else? Another reason they could be doing it is because they don't want to feel the obligation. Robert Cialdini, he's a psychologist, and he wanted to study why cult members inculcated cult people. And he studied all the different mechanisms they use to get other people to do things extreme, like give up their family and all their money and take poison at the end of the shit. Like, he studied pretty hardcore, and he found what they call the law of reciprocation. And basically, without going into grave detail about it, the law of reciprocation says that if somebody, oh, I think I'm covering the sensor. The law of reciprocation says that if somebody gives you something, you feel obligated to return something. And it's so pervasive that when somebody like loans you money, you might want to turn them down just so that you don't want to have to, you know, if somebody offers to buy you dinner or something, no, that's okay, I don't like owing people, right? You have that, you don't want to feel that obligation, so you refuse even a $5 meal. And that's just kind of silly, but it shows us how powerful that obligation idea really is. Sometimes when you give a compliment, you give it on purpose to receive the thanks or the accolades, or to have somebody think that you're special, right? Somebody think that, oh, he gave me a compliment, he's really nice, I affirm him, I approve him. So you're looking for something in response. But some people don't like owing people, even for emotional good feelings. And so, as a form of power, they will withhold the appreciation for a compliment so that they don't have to owe you similar like-minded stuff in the future, right? A good example of this is when you say, oh, I think you're one of the best things ever, and I really want to be there for you, blah, 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 right? Like white knight behavior. And a woman's like, oh, you're a really good friend. Like, I think you're nice too, right? And she says it, but there's no real acknowledgement of the depth of your compliment. And then so she sidesteps it a little bit and kind of tries to put you in a mode where it's not as extreme as you were trying to make it. Well, the reality of that situation is she doesn't feel the same way, and so she's trying to communicate in an accurate way so that you will stop trying to manipulate her into feeling a certain way, right? So she's going to try to mitigate that by basically cutting your legs out from under you, or not responding. So, first strategy to deal with this kind of thing: get rid of the white knight complex. Get rid of Captain Save-A-Ho. Get rid of the savior complex. If somebody doesn't want to take a compliment from you, that's okay. You don't need to convince them that they're wrong. You don't need to convince them that they should think the way that you think. It's not up to you to fix somebody's self-worth and self-esteem. It's up to you to be truthful and honest and give out gifts. If they're not received, that's okay. You don't need to convince people into taking the gifts that you have to offer, because then it becomes more like an exchange or an obligation, and you don't want to create that kind of dynamic, because that's just desperate and needy and codependent. We don't want to do that. Secondly, if somebody disagrees with your compliment and you have a chance to do it again, do it with less absoluteness, if that's a word. You can say something like, "You're very beautiful," and she's like, "No, I'm not, because I don't look like Giselle," or whatever it is. Or you can say, "You make me excited whenever I see you. I think you're really..." Or you can say something along the lines of, "You excite me every time I see you. I'm really happy to see you every time. When I see you, like, you're not even looking at me. Like, sometimes when you're not even looking at me, I just smile. Like, you make me excited every time I see you. Like, sometimes when you're not even looking at me, you don't even notice I'm there. I just smile, like, secretly to myself, because, like, just seeing you like does shit to my brain. And that's a much more hard to argue with compliment, right? Because you're describing the effects that seeing her has on you rather than giving her an absolute standard of comparison that the commercialism is already fucked up for you. Also, another thing you can do to mitigate this stuff is to not fight at all. I mean, so first not fight. Okay, so it's first not fight. Secondly, we get more personal, right? So those are a couple of ways to deal with all that. When she's ready to accept compliments from you, well, you know, for whatever reason, then she will be able to do that, and it's not up to you to coerce her into taking them. So I want to tack this on here too. Another reason she might not want to hear something from you, hear a compliment from you, is because she's heard them in the past from people who have abused her or treated her poorly or whatever. And so, like, sometimes those words are false to her. Like, anybody who tells her she's pretty is just going to hurt her in the future. And that's like a very real thing. So just be aware that those things exist. And it's not necessarily a hit to your ego when somebody doesn't respond the way that you expected. We're put on this earth to, or we're on this earth to have relationships. And part of having the relationship is to adapt and take care of the feelings of other people. And sometimes people don't act or interact the same way that we do. And it's our mastery of our ability to adapt in those situations that make us good humans, good friends, good lovers, and good communicators. So that's my thoughts on people who refuse your compliments today on this episode of Pickup Daily. I do this every damn day, so tune in tomorrow. Check out the live training schedule with my friends at The Attractive Man here in this card. Buy my book, links down there, and till tomorrow, stay awesome.